Welcome back everyone to yet another Taoism Explained video. This time we're going to be taking a look at chapter 11 of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching. And as always, I'll read through 3 translations and then talk a bit about what I think it means. So our first translation goes like this. The 30 spokes unite in the one nave, but it is on the empty space for the axle that the use of the wheel depends. Clay is fashioned into vessels, but it is on their empty hollowness that their use depends. The door and windows are cut out from the walls to form an apartment, but it is on the empty space within that its use depends. Therefore, what has a positive existence serves for profitable adaptation, and what has not that for actual usefulness. And our second translation goes like this. 30 spokes unite in one nave, and on that which is non-existent, on the hole in the nave, depends the wheel's utility. Clay is molded into a vessel, and on that which is non-existent, on its hollowness, depends the vessel's utility. By cutting out doors and windows, we build a house, and on that which is non-existent, on the empty space within, depends the house's utility. Therefore, existence renders actual, but non-existence renders useful. And for our final translation, although the wheel has 30 spokes, its utility lies in the emptiness of the hub. The jar is made by kneading clay, but its usefulness consists in its capacity. A room is made by cutting out windows and doors through the walls, but the space the walls contain measures the room's value. In the same way, matter is necessary to form, but the value of reality lies in its immateriality, or thus, a material body is necessary to existence, but the value of a life is measured by its immaterial soul. Alright, so we seem to know by now that the wheel has 30 spokes, and without that space in between those spokes, the wheel wouldn't work. It's like Fred Flintstone's car versus a bicycle, or like trying to drive a car with just hubcaps attached to the bottom. This chapter is very much pointing towards the concept of emptiness, and just how paradoxical the mystery of it can be. Trying to empty your mind via meditation or training is one way that people seek to find emptiness, but can emptiness potentially be the root of ourselves? Is emptiness something that we need to strive for and to attain as a goal, such as at the end of a pursuit? Or is it more like something that we can dial into in the present moment right now? The chapter goes through a few other examples of how Lao Tzu thought that the intrinsic value of a thing is in its utility rather than in the physical object itself. He points towards the idea that what we think of as empty space is really not so empty after all. Taken from another perspective, something that appears to be empty space is actually quite useful. That coffee mug doesn't do anything until you fill it with coffee. The physical body that you call yourself, you, doesn't have much to do unless it starts doing something, or in context of other bodies doing something, or perhaps when it begins to think about its use. The empty space between my couch and my bookshelf is technically filled with dust particles, cat hair flying through the air, skin cells. It isn't really empty when there are particles, atoms, and subatomic particles floating around that I can't see with my naked eye. And going even further out than that, the primary empty space, that is the whole universe, contains all things within it, so can we really call it empty? Seen from this light, emptiness is rather full, at least for being so empty. This probably has something to do with the line, "Form is emptiness, emptiness is form," from the Heart Sutra of Buddhism. Parts make up a whole, but a part wouldn't be a part of the whole in the first place if it didn't have other parts to create the whole with. or if there wasn't a whole for the parts to be a part of. This is a strange sort of thing that we can all automatically do within our thinking, but it's something that we don't really take the time to talk about. We can distinguish the subject from the background. We can see that my hat is actually multiple parts stitched together to create one thing. We know that a blanket is made of individual threads, and those individual threads are made of even smaller parts. And so we theorize that the universe came from a Big Bang, but don't really have any ideas about where that Big Bang was before the universe was there to hold it. It's like a canvas with no paint and no painter to paint it. The point is, without just repeating examples, that everything is like this. Everything is actually emptiness, but simultaneously everything is also full. Everything exists, but also doesn't exist. These are two sides of the same coin and should be treated equally. Emptiness is not something to be afraid of. It isn't the great annihilation that we forever run away from. Rather, we can consciously choose to see it as fundamental to and contained within everything else. Well, that's all I have this time around, so I will see you next time.